Hello and welcome to the Knock On KCLR Sports Weekly Rugby Podcast. We have James Blanchfield from Kilkenny, Crotty from Carlow, and Paddy Browne from Tullow joining us every week to keep us updated on what's going on the local clubs. Paddy Browne joins us now to give us an update on all things Tullow. Paddy, I suppose we'll crack straight into it. The big derby was on last weekend. It was yourselves and your nearest and dearest Carlow in Oak Park. Mixed results on the day. The first loss, but the second's won. But the first game, of course, always serves up to be a bit of a cracker as well. There's always an edge to it, but just didn't go your way on the day.
No, absolutely not, Stephen, and thank you for having me again. And I'm welcome. Our greetings from Boyne Races. That's why I'm dressed a little bit horsey today. So I'm recording from the car park of Boyne Race. I couldn't find a quiet place inside after the Tyes days, the excitement of Willie Mullins winning 10 in a row. But anyways, I hope the noise in the background isn't too disconcerting. But I'm here anyway, and delighted to join you, Stephen. It was an interesting weekend. We spoke a lot about the build up to this local derby between Tullow and Carlow, and of course we always relished the derbies, and we beat them in Tullow in the home gig back in the day. And back then it didn't matter so much, but right now it matters because we've both got 3 games left in regulation league, and so neither of us want to end up second from bottom, and we're vying for that unenviable position right now. So the game was of huge significance from that point of view. And so just to put that into perspective, we're after Carlow beating us last week, we're now 4 points ahead of them, and they have a game in hand, and that's against Wicklow next Saturday. And I probably, in the circumstances, should let Tom talk more about the actual game than I would, because we're both reporting on the same game. But it was an interesting game from many points of view. But Tullow have no excuses, and it's all now going down to the wire in terms of potential relegation and whatever happens at the end of the season. So, as expected, it was a great occasion. There was a pre-match luncheon, which I was delighted to attend, and it was a lovely occasion. And as a result, I missed the seconds match, but it which I'll talk about in a moment. But the first match, there was a huge crowd, as you would expect, and a great buzz, and both teams gave everything they had. I knew from the start that Carlow were missing the 2 Crottys, Tom's 2 sons, and Ian Atkinson and Johnny Murphy, 4 very, very strong players on their team. And I felt before the match that was going to give us an advantage, but and it should have had. We lost 2 of our strongest players just before kickoff, Stevie Smith and Gareth Fitzgerald. But that was that's not trying to make an excuse, because I think Carlow were more badly hit than we were. But nonetheless, there were a loss. But the game was played, and I won't go through the full sequences of the match, because I presume Tom will do that. The final score was 13-7. But all I will say is that there's a lot of criticism of the referee, and referees come in for a lot of shit nowadays, and especially after Mac Hansen's outburst. But I have to say, love him or hate him, he didn't favour either side, in my opinion. If he called crooked line out straight or straight line out crooked, he did it for both teams, in my opinion. So I wouldn't in any circumstance blame our defeat on the ref. I would blame it purely on Tullow are not going well at the moment. Carlow, I think, are going that little bit better than we are. And I would fear that if they keep going the way they're going, even with the guys they're missing, they will probably edge us at the end of the season. And, it's between us now who's going to be second from the bottom or third from the bottom, and it's going to be critical in terms of relegation. So that's the problem we have in Tullow. So it's quite complicated in the sense that normally there's a relegation playoff between the second from the bottom and the second from the top in Division 1B. This year might be different if a Leinster team comes down out of the AIL back into Leinster. It might mean that the two bottom teams in Leinster Division 1A go down automatically. So that's something we have to watch, and Tullamore's fate in that regard is critical to probably both of us as it stands now. But so that's how it stands. But like we all have to fight our own corners. And I think I mentioned last week I think we've a slightly more difficult run in the last 3 matches than Carlow have. They have 4 matches, and Tom will talk about that. But so I think the match against Wicklow, the match was missed for the bad weather last week, which is now going to be played next Saturday, will be pretty important in the shake-up too. But as I said, Stephen, I'm not going to go into the details of the match. Because I think Tom will do that and follow through, and so he should do and is entitled to. But Tullow weren't the better team. They were slightly the weaker team on the day. There was a few times, it was a very close match, and there was a few times when the score was probably 7-all and maybe 10-7 that we had a chance to get a run on the match. And I felt personally that each time we did, Tullow made mistakes. They dropped the ball, they missed the line out, or they fluffed their lines. Whereas Carlow were that bit stronger and steadier, and dare I say it, and I hate saying this as a Tullow man, more committed. They seem to be that more committed and hungrier. And so those 3 factors to me were the 3 factors that kind of made the difference in the end. And, there's very tight margins in these games. We've played them so many times in the last 5 or 6 years, and there's always been tight margins. And the margins are that tight, and I think those few factors, as I said, fluffed lines, dropped balls, missed lineouts, and Carlow's greater hunger, to me, was the difference at the end of the day. So the best of luck to Carlow. We had a great pre-match luncheon. We had a great few drinks in the bar afterwards, and we watched the Leinster match, and we had good fun, and that's what rugby is really all about to me. So I really enjoyed it. As I said, I won't go into the details of the match. I think I'll leave that to Tom. But I'm happy to report on the seconds match, because I really thought that Carlow seconds were doing a lot better than we were, and to my great surprise and delight, we beat them 5-12, which was a surprise result as far as I'm concerned, but it was a cracker of a match. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see it because, thanks to the hospitality of County Carlow Rugby Club, I was inside enjoying the pre-match luncheon, but and that's the time that match was on. But it was a cracker of a match by all accounts, and just what I heard about from colleagues, that it was a real humdinger, and from our point of view, it has given our seconds a real boost ahead of the cup. So that's it really. I've nothing much more to say. The big talking point for the weekend, Stephen, was always going to be the derby match. So I leave it at that, and I'm hoping Tom will spell out the details of the match in a bit more detail. But well done, Carlow. That's all I can.
No worries. Thanks for that, Paddy. Paddy, you're just on cue. Your reception has gone there. There you are. You're back. We'll let you off for the last race there at Tayestas there, Paddy. If you can hear us. The reception is great.
In my racing gear. I have my colours on.
Enjoy the racing, Paddy.
Enjoy the racing.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Tom.
Take care. Thanks for that. Bye-bye. That's Paddy Browne there from Tullow Rugby Club talking about the derby the weekend. He's come back to his racing there now in Gordon Park down in Kilkenny. And that. So, yeah, thanks for that, Paddy. Paddy's gone there. Tom Crotty joins us now. Tom, how's it going? As Paddy was saying there, your 2 sons are injured there at the moment, but I hear you picked up an old injury yourself there at the weekend. A little bird told me.
I sort of jumped up in the air at the end of the game and pulled the calf.
There you are.
So the lesson is, when you get older, No sudden movements are allowed.
Good man, Tom. Well,
Yeah.
best of luck with that one, healing up anyway. But Jay, you've got the win anyway. The first did, as Paddy was saying, the second's lost, but you must be happy getting the better of Tullow on your own turf as well.
Yeah, it's look, I started the seconds first. Seconds didn't perform. I don't know, but the team that they had they, we had a very strong. Should have had a much stronger pack with experience, but just didn't fire. And in fairness, who were full of energy and just got stuck into us, and we didn't, as I said, we didn't perform properly coming back to it. Of our seconds, very just a frustrating game to watch. We butchered an awful lot of chances and just fell short. And look, but it's we could have performed. I won't go on too much about it. We just couldn't. We could have performed a hell of a lot better. As I said, on paper, we should have been a strong. I call a spade, and it didn't go the way we went, and we were chasing this. The try that they got in the first bit was just a drop ball from us, and their winger just picked it up and just caught us off guard. So, and they scored a try right underneath the post, and after that, then we whole time. Then they got another try, and we got one back. But look, we chased the game, and it wasn't good. And it's a bit frustrating for the seconds through, because they've been struggling with because the injuries on the first and has been moved up, and just through, and even through their own injuries, that caused a huge problem. But look, they get back out and get back out. They'll have a tough game now against Wicklow second, so we're going very well at the moment as well this weekend. Improve. The league is kind of out of their control now. This stage is gone, but the next thing now is to develop and get their team together. Back winning the cup as any other team in it. So I hope that we can and it's only a couple of details. It's not things that were going wrong. From second point of view, hopefully now they'll shape up and get going over the next 4 games and prepare then to get ready for cup. What can I say about it? It was just a real derby. To be honest, it wasn't a league match. It ended up being more of a cup match than a league match. Even it was sort of. We got down. We got 2 penalties and we hit them into the corner, and Evan Gordon went over for a good maul try, and got the conversion 7 points. Then silly mistakes. They went back up and gave Tullow a lucky in again, and they got a try from them all, and it ended up a 7-7 right there. To be honest, scoring point of view was probably the difference in the 2 teams. Was we took 2 kicks. Young unknowns. We got a penalty. He kicked it, missed it. We got a second penalty, and even in your own head, you're kind of looking at it on and going, God, should we kick this to the corner? Should we kick for the points? I missed the last one, and yeah, that's the best policy. But if he went on straight away, he banged it over, and that was the difference between the 2 sides. It's cup match. from start to finish, like our lineouts weren't great. Our scrum was good. Scrum was very solid. We had an issue then. Because Evan Gorman came off first yellow carded for a high hit. Then a little bit later on, and a couple of minutes later, we got a second yellow card. Then there was a bit of a scuffle, usual handbags on this, which wasn't pretty to watch. Shouldn't happen, and a scuffle on with the side, almost with the sideline as well. So look, I got sorted out, but the referee gave two. As I said, we had 2 yellow cards in the front row. Then we decided that we needed to drop another player because we had uncontested scrums. But I'm still of the belief, and looked at the rules to this, that shouldn't happen. That's an international rule. But we've looked at it and just seemed to be a bit unfair. So we basically played the next 4 minutes with 12. And as soon then as the first yellow card came on, but like we played a good bit of the game there with only 14 men. So this part of discipline has to be looked at a bit more than really are. And it's understandable. It's a safety point for the game. Just need to watch our tackle heights. Look, a late hit is a late hit. Sometimes the ball was just leaving the player's hands as just leaving the player's hands as he was hit. But the fact is, it was probably a little bit high as well. So, as I said, like our lineups were off and on. There was 2 throws in though that were from a side point, looked fairly straight, but then that was probably the worst aspect of our game was the lineup. Look, we can work on that for that's as it. The book went out the window totally. I think the 2 coaches were just kind of looked at each other and said, "Look, everything they'd worked on during the week went out the window. Our structure, our shape, as they
sort of get dragged into a game."
From watching it, maybe not the most brilliant game of rugby, but it was hit on hit, match for match. Everything was done at full belt. There was nothing held back. I'm really proud of the lads, especially proud of the front rows, and Ty Ronan did he's mature and he's only a puppy in regards to being a front row, but he had an absolutely phenomenal game, and the job well. Nothing, I can't say they weren't on fire. It wasn't, as I say, our structure went out the window, but defensively and everything else, from 1 to 15, there were and the bench that came on. The bench had a huge difference when they come on, but we were delighted with just time. And look, I suppose from a rugby perspective, and we had ourselves and Tullow been hopping on. These things happen. You're due a win at some stage, and we were blessed. As I say, the league is important, and I know Tullow are still ahead. Like neither of us are going to end up bottom. It looks like it's going to be sorted with Ashbourne probably will go straight down, but it'll be between ourselves and Tullow. we have the game in hand this week against Wicklow, which won't be easy because they're informed that they had a very good win against the tie, and they've beaten Tullow in the last very hard place to win. It won't be easy this week. I have one bit of good news. Our full back, or Dan Crotty's back. I got one young lad back, so he got good news. And hopefully Ben will be back in 2 weeks' time. But it's available this weekend. He's been carrying an ankle injury for a long time, and we're just going to give him a break this weekend as well, just to give him time to repair and try and get back for the rest of the games as well. But look, it's as strong as the team coming out this weekend as we have it. So we know we have to up the game. It won't be a case of just going out there and battling like we had against Tullow. Wicklow will come the very strict, punish your errors. They beat us up there in Wicklow. I know we didn't play well that day, but they are a threat all the time from for the whole 80 minutes. So we about and be fully clued in and fired up for it, but also kind of control aggression in the fact that we try to hold our structure this week and not be involved, which as I said, Derby's become emotionally involved, but this is not emotional. This is straight up. We have to go out and win this game. It's hugely important. We have 4 games left. We have a tie. The Estonians, and I think Tullow have a tough run in as well. So every game counts, every point counts. So it's just a matter for Storm tomorrow, and then it's down to Saturday and what team turns up. Do we need Carlow, that's the team that turned up again. If we can play that way against Wicklow, we've a good enough chance to pull the points. But we have great respect for Wicklow. As I said, they're a team that's in form. Their seconds are in form.
Caused the trouble before.
But they've come back and had a couple of good wins. So that's all we can have from that, Stephen. Every game's a big game now, and
yeah, absolutely.
The game will be a cracker
if that's possible.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I don't have a whole lot from our youth, so I don't know. I think I don't have a whole lot. I don't think we had great wins with youth in our 18s. Unfortunately, lost the top. Our team had a cracking game against momentum there. Ori had about 4 or 5 players that were twice the size of anyone on the pitch, of any of the Carlow players. Rugby and the way they defend, I have to say, to their coaches and the players, they were absolutely phenomenal. Like they're a gutsy team. They play well. When you're playing under 13s and 14s and 15s, or especially under 13s and 14s, you come up against teams and they'll have a couple of big players, and you kind of get stronger, and then realize, when you start catching up with growth spurt, we've had teams over the years that were best when they were beaten by 1 or 2. They were great teams, but beaten by 1 or 2 teams, and when they were young, it maybe took until they were under 17 to beat them. But I have to give that under 13s team, they train really hard. Their mentors and coaches are so dedicated. So I just, as for my team of the week, they'll definitely be definitely up there for this. we have full range of youth matches again over the weekend. Oh, I said the 18s Rhinos. One had a very good win. They had a very good win last weekend against Ashburn. Tongue twister. Ashburn Balbriggan.
All right.
They're playing top of the league. They're playing really, really good rugby. They have a tough one now this weekend. They're playing in Tullow at 3 o'clock against stay top. So hopefully, if they can stay top, they get a home semi-final, and that's what we're geared out. I think the under 16s had an unfortunate last. They lost to Rhinos lost to Wexford, and I think the joint effort between both clubs, and I have to compliment them all with the effort that's been put in from both clubs and their coaches and managers. It's great to see the girls out.
Absolutely.
There's nothing else exciting. We're playing the battle down the hatches now.
No worries.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, and the whole country's closing down tomorrow for this storm.
Yeah.
Has to be done as well. And I think it's affecting. Kilkenny lost to Boyne there at the weekend. They were in action as well, so tough loss for the Kilkenny side. James can't make it there today, and I think the old weather is starting to affect the connection here as well. We're sort of blipping in and out here, Tom, on the podcast. So if anyone's listening or watching it, and that, just excuse that. I don't know what the issue is. It's usually spot on, but I think it's after glitching on me once or twice there. But Tom, thanks a million for that. And of course, Paddy Browne there earlier. We'll catch up with us next week. The very best of luck against Wicklow. There's Towns Cup action this weekend as well. That's if it all goes ahead with the weather, but it should be fine. And
I think we should be. There's not a mass. I don't think there's a massive amount of rain. Well, Sunday I think is to turn back around again to.
Yeah, a bit dodgy. Yeah.
Sunday will be nice. It'll be tough in the Towns Cup, but it won't be the first time they'll play. Teams will play in crap weather in the first round of the Towns Cup. Be paid in wind and rain and muck.
Absolutely, the rugby lads are
playing in sunshine at the end.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're very glitchy today.
Tom,
Steve.
Thanks a million.
No,
it is. I don't know what's going on with the recording. Everything is a bit glitchy. So apologies to the listeners or viewers and that if it's worse than it's coming across here. We'll catch up with you next week, Tom. Thanks a million.
Yep, no problem. See you, Steve.
Take care.